Dent.
Anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. The application process is quick and easy. You can even apply without having to undergo a medical examination. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral cost skyrocketing to $11,000 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple, affordable peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses that, if left unattended, will burden your family tremendously. Benefits include a guaranteed premium that will never increase, a guaranteed cash value, and a guaranteed death benefit that can never decrease. To find out how you can get final expense insurance with a guaranteed lifetime rate lock, call LifeCare at 1-800-773-0131. 1-800-773-0131. 1-800-773-0131.
Frank's Red Hot is the perfect blend of flavor and heat. That's why you can use an entire bottle to make buffalo chicken dip, the kind you might make for when you're watching the game at home. And maybe this year there's less people around to watch the game with. Yay! But that just means there's more dip, and it's all for you. Some of you may say, that's too much dip. But deep down in your heart of hearts, you know it isn't. So go ahead, finish it. Frank's Red Hot don't judge. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
Buying some pretzel sticks?
Excuse me?
This is your wake-up call from TracFone Wireless.
Okay.
What if you didn't eat all those pretzel sticks by the end of the month, so this store took them back?
Good luck.
That's how some wireless companies are with your data, but TracFone Wireless gives you unlimited carryover data with active service, so you keep what you pay for. Plans start at $20 a month.
Wow, that's cool.
Sir, are you bothering the customers?
Yeah, hang on. This is your wake-up call, people. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. Available at major retailers. See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.
Sports, information, and entertainment.
This is AM 820 WWBA Largo and AM 1060 WIXC Titusville. It's time for the King and the Cop with the legendary former MLB great Jim Leyritz, and with 100 years of law enforcement in his blood, Tommy Sedner. It's all things sports, plus cop talk, current events, entertainment, and more. Joined by America's favorite Jersey girl, Robin DeLory. It's the King and the Cop. Now, here's Tommy, Jimmy, and Robin.
Good afternoon, everybody. The King and the Cop. I'm Tommy Setner, a.k.a. The Cop.
And I'm the King, Jim Leyritz.
And our girl, Robin DeLory, is out on a little field assignment at a baseball field today, and she'll be piping in, giving us some updates on things. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing
Hi, guys.
Oh, hello, Robin. We didn't know you were piping in already.
There's our first pipe in.
There's our first pipe in.
Well, I'm gonna start the show with you, and then I'm on location.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very important.
Yes, so thank you for...
So I'll be here for you guys.
Well, we appreciate
I just want you to
that.
know that.
You know, people were weighing in.
All right,
Wait a minute. People were weighing in yesterday about that fantastic due diligence you did on St. Peter's and the net, but we'll save that for later in the week for March Madness talk. But Jimmy's got some things he's going to talk about. We were out and about ourselves today, Robin.
Well, yeah, let's first...
I know. It was kind of like a scrimmage, right? Like a high school scrimmage, freshman ball?
No. Okay.
That's kind of what you saw, right?
No, we'll get back to you, though.
Well, okay. So just listen. I am useless minutia, and I'm here, and I will pipe in when I can tell you a little interesting fact about this or that. But until then, just want to get you to understand where I am right now. While you're in beautiful Tampa, I'm in an overcast, disgusting baseball field with my beautiful new purse. Nowhere else to put it except all over on top of geese crap.
All right.
So
Well,
this whole field is full of just turd.
all right. Well, let us brag about where we are, and then.
All right, I'm just trying to give you a.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to give you a feel.
Yeah, you're
so
depressing
the
us.
listeners have a visual of
yeah.
where I am.
You're depressing the listeners and me,
Okay.
Jimmy. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay.
I'm signing off.
Yes.
All right. Have a great show. I'll be here. I'll
Thank
listen.
you.
Yes. Once again, the King and the Cop.
Bye-bye now.
Once again, the King and the Cop at
Bye-bye.
8:20 a.m. WWBA, the Big 8, South Florida Sports Talk. Remember, this is a live show, so you can call in at 727-518-0820 and ask us questions. We're going to have a couple guests on today. You can ask them questions.
Or let us know if your pocketbook is sitting on geese manure.
Exactly.
But anything goes.
Exactly.
We're live.
But yeah, Tommy, we got a lot to talk about today. We got the Sweet 16 starting up tomorrow. Starting up Thursday. We got 8 games on Thursday, 8 games on Friday, leading up to the Elite 8. We got Phil Mickelson news of withdrawing from the Masters for the first time since 1994.
Shocked at that news, to be honest with you.
We'll have a couple of discussions about the Leah Thomas controversy as far as the swimming goes. And later on today, in our last segment, we'll have Mark Skeels and Mark Fleming in the final hour to discuss the $85 million settlement that was done in San Diego County, the police case. But first of all, and then we have Sweetie Murdy coming up at 4:30.
Yeah, that's great.
Which is the Yankee Insider. And Tommy, I don't know about you, but we went to the Dunedin today to watch the New York Yankees play Toronto Blue Jays.
Right.
And if this is anything like, it was Jordan Montgomery's debut in spring training, and
24 pitches without an out.
The first inning took 1 hour.
I know.
1 hour. So
we got a little bit of a tan, though.
Yes, we did get a little bit of a tan, but it was one of those things that, you and I were just sitting there and we were just talking about, coming out of the strike that we were in for a little bit while, and some of these teams making moves, and of course, Toronto just signed Matt Chapman to a new 2-year deal.
Yeah, we're about 15 feet away from him, and he just got an extra $50 million in his wallet.
Well, exactly. I was wondering why he had a little extra kick in his step.
Exactly
today.
right.
And but then just watching and looking at that lineup, that Toronto is going to be running out this year, and I just looked at you and I said, you know what, this is going to be scary.
Challenge.
Yeah, you got Boston, who went and got Trevor Story and made a few more moves. You got Toronto Blue Jays, who are just unbelievably stacked.
Young.
If they get any pitching, they're going to be nasty. And then of course, Tampa Bay always is right there. The Yankees are going to, this is going to be probably the best division in baseball.
No doubt.
As far as parity goes.
Yeah. Two things, Jimmy. You're talking about obviously going on the field. I just want to thank the Blue Jays for hosting us, Jimmy. They're just so honored to have you there, which was nice. And then there's, I'm going to get in trouble and say this. There was more Yankee fans than Blue Jay fans there today. And, of course, everybody's stopping you and taking pictures with you. And, that never gets old, right? I mean, it's nice. I mean, the sun's out. The grass is green. We had a beautiful breeze. It was, and we saw 1 inning in an hour, which is another subject. Why people are getting turned off by baseball because it takes so long, but pure baseball people love it. Beautiful day.
Well, the in-between 2 minutes of the only inning that we saw did work.
It did.
The new clock that they have in baseball.
Yeah, the new clock, which was the Atlantic League, which former Newark Bears. We were in the Atlantic League for a while ourselves, and they tested it the last couple of years, so now they're utilizing it.
It's one of the first things when I do my public speaking and when I corporate speaking and stuff. The first thing I get up there and I say, "Hey, listen, I've been contracted to speak for 1 hour, but I'm a baseball player, and there's no clocks in baseball.
That's right.
I can't say that anymore."
No, you can't say it. You got to get the snap off, you got to get the shot off, and now you got to get the pitch off.
Exactly.
So it's good stuff.
Exactly. But yeah, we'll have some great discussion coming up with Sweetie Murdy. He'll be coming to us from New York. He's actually getting on a plane tomorrow, flying to Tampa to cover the rest of spring training.
So he didn't suffer in that first inning like we did today.
He didn't have to sit out in that hot sun and suffer. And
Yankees left most of their players back in Tampa today, though.
Yeah, and it was Jordan Montgomery's first start of the year, so you don't put too much weight on this yet. But you got to remember, it's going to be a shortened spring training. They're only playing 15 games. So I think in the beginning of this season, we're going to be seeing some interesting baseball.
I have a question for you with that. Usually, and I know this from you and from being around the game, the pitchers have advantage for the first month.
Yeah.
That may not be the case this year.
No, and I think what you're probably going to see more, and David Cohn and I talked about this on another show, discussing that what might be different the first month of the season that we normally see during a regular season,
Right.
Because of the shortened spring training. Because him and I went through that in 1995, and we just talked about back then. Pitchers pitched complete games.
Yeah.
Pitchers threw 150 pitches. People did that. It shouldn't be that hard for these guys because they're only used to throwing 100 pitches. They're only going 5 innings, and that we'll probably see more games in the month of April, from the 7th to the 31st. Probably see more games that are going to be a starting pitcher goes 3 innings. 4 innings, and that's the most.
But aren't you wearing out your bullpen if you're doing it?
Well, yeah, but you're only using them 1 inning.
You know, I thought they would let, you know how in September you're allowed to go to 30 players and bring people up. I thought maybe they would stipulate and have some kind of rule in April so guys just didn't get worn out, bring some extra pitchers up and stuff. But I guess they feel they don't need them.
Well, with the extra man on the roster already, which has already been implemented, what you'll do is you'll carry less position players and more.
Right.
More pitchers.
I was daydreaming there when we were sitting there today a little bit, and yes, Robin, I was thinking about you, but you could stand by. But I was thinking about Jimmy.
You're so sweet,
I
Tommy.
know. But my question is,
I was
Jimmy.
thinking about you today too.
Thank you. My question, Jimmy, is what's your fondest memory at spring training? I mean, it really is a cool feeling, and I understand. You might scale spring training down after this anyway, because I know the players don't like being down there that long. They don't need that long to get ready. But what was it after '96, after the World Series, or what was your fondest memory?
Well, no, because
spring training
in '97 it was a little uneasy for me because I had just joined the Anaheim Angels,
right?
And so I had to go to Tempe, Arizona, after being so used to being in Florida,
right?
And the funny thing about it is, normally in spring training when I came to Florida, I usually came in maybe 5 or 10 pounds overweight because the humidity and the sun, and you would lose 10 to 15 pounds in a spring training getting into shape. I went to Arizona. I didn't sweat.
Right. Dry air.
And it was like, man, I got to lose some more weight here. But no, for me, probably the best spring training memory had to be my second year in Fort Lauderdale for the Fort Lauderdale spring training that we used to have.
Right.
And Joe DiMaggio threw out the first pitch.
Amazing.
And here I was, a young kid, my second year.
I just got chills. I mean,
yeah. And to be able to catch, I probably have 500 of those photos in my house.
Sure.
But that was probably my biggest thrill of all the spring trainings that I could possibly have, just because, at that time, Joe DiMaggio was, just.
We got to have your mom on one day. I want to hear her version of what she must have been thinking going through that. That must have been like just surreal. I don't care. You watch your kids grow up and you say, oh, yeah, my kids are the best of best. Then all of a sudden you see your kid at Yankee spring training, and then your kid's in Yankee Stadium. I love the story you tell about your dad when you called him.
Yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, can you believe it, Dad? I'm here in Bubba. I'm next to Matt. And he said,
my first day in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, figure out a way to stay there now. That was like my father. He could never celebrate the moment. He was worried about what would happen next.
Yeah. Yeah, it's listen, my mother and father, this is something that they've sacrificed their whole. Even my brother and my sister sacrificed so much. Our trips when I was basically from 10th grade or 9th grade on, our spring training, our spring breaks, instead of my sister and my brother and us going on a big vacation, we came to spring training every year for the Reds.
Yeah.
And that was because of me. I wanted to watch baseball. I wanted to be,
That's cool.
And we had Tommy Brenneman, of course, who was my best friend growing up, and so we got some privileges that we normally didn't get. But that was probably, I think, even for my mom and dad and my brother and my sister, the biggest relief when I finally made it. That all that sacrificing they did for me paid off.
Well, I was thinking about it today, and you're listening live to Jimmy Leyritz, Tommy Setner, and Robin Delory, the King and the Cop, our second show. But I was daydreaming a little bit because Biggio's at second base. His father was a Hall of Famer, and I'm thinking him as parent. Then Bichette's at shortstop, and then you got the
Guerrero
Jr., who's just a monster. I mean, in a monster in a nice way, in a dominating baseball way. But how about those parents? I mean, they get a thrill that for 20 years they played, and then, now their sons are out there. And you're right. The Blue Jays are young, strong, and fast and tough. And you're right. If they get some pitching, Boston and the Yankees might be in the mirror somewhere. I don't know.
Right, and listen, we were very fortunate to get out there early before the game started, and I had an opportunity to talk to Hensley Mullins, who's now the assistant hitting coach, and he was telling me the story. He said, hey, he had just come to Gerald Williams' funeral, which God rest Gerald Williams' soul.
Yeah, what a shame.
And he had just come to the funeral in Tampa a couple weeks ago, or I think it was like 10 or 12 days ago. And at the time, he wasn't even working in baseball, and he ran into Brian Cashman, and Cashman said, "Hey, we're still looking for some help in our hitting situation. What about coming aboard?" Or, I'm sorry, that's not right, Hensley. I'll take that back, just in case Hensley's listening. He mentioned
he's not listening because they're still playing. It's a 5-hour game. But go ahead, I'm kidding.
But Cashman mentioned to Hensley that they were still looking, and then 3 days later, Cashman called him up and said, "Hey, we're going to hire you." And he became the assistant hitting coach for the New York Yankees. So it was great to see him. And I was kidding with him. I said, dude, you've come full circle.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
This is where it all started. And he's like, you know what? I'm excited to be back. He had been teaching, like I said before yesterday, we talked about him a little bit. They'd been teaching the camps in Curacao and doing some things there. But now he's the hitting coach. And
rightfully so, by the way. It's like 3 World Series with the Giants.
And one of the great things is, he said, listen, anytime you need me on a show during the season, I'm good. He goes, I can't do it during spring training because with all these reports and everything that we have to write, I'm not out of the stadium till 6 o'clock.
It's amazing.
So
it's not the job where you had a beer after the game and went home, right?
Exactly.
Spring training, but he's a good man, and I always love to say this, Newark Bear. He's a Newark Bear too. So spend some time with us. Yep. But I mean, it's just spring training. It's great to bring your families there. And that's why it's so disappointing when the strike happened and the businesses and everybody, the families missed 3 weeks. We were watching the families today, people stopping you, taking pictures. This is what they live for. They have their spring breaks, like you said, your spring breaks were sent down there, and these families like to take these trips down there. And here we are sitting in 85, 90-degree weather. What's better than that today? And we had people in front of us that were big Yankee fans. We were laughing. They recognized you. And they were ready to jump off a bridge because the Yankees were down 4-0 in the first inning. There goes the whole season. So you had to calm them down that Montgomery was just putting some work in. But what else? We got an interesting subject to talk about. Speaking of how it's going to affect baseball, Mayor Adams of New York City, kind of doubled down today.
Yeah, I was reading the article this morning, and it talked about that he was not going to adhere to the pressure from the sports teams and everything else, and that he thought that until the science shows that it's safe to take these masks off or allow unvaccinated players to play. But this is where the quote from Kevin Durant is so on cue as far as the situation. And again, I this is an opinion.
Yep.
I want to state that this is my opinion. But reading this, Kevin Durant says, why is Kyrie Irving not allowed to play on the court, but yet he can come to a game unvaccinated as long as he tests negative?
I guess he can't cough on anybody in the stands. I mean,
every fan.
I don't get it.
And every fan in the stands.
And I don't mean to be just a Jersey whatever, but how many people got fake vaccination cards and
not
stuff?
Even that.
I mean, it's just
but
I'm saying there's no protocol to check all these things, and then you just make a blanket that you could sit there, but you can't play on the court. I don't get it. Listen, I'm a huge fan of Mayor Adams. I got to meet him and spend some time with him. I'm a huge fan, so I will not comment on, because I don't know the facts, and I don't think any of us understand these rules and regulations. But I will say this on his behalf, and I agree with you, by the way, but I will say this on his behalf. When you're Governor Murphy or Mayor Adams now, and you got to make life decisions, it's not as easy as it sounds. So there's something behind the scenes that he's being told that he wants to make a prudent decision. Of course, he wants to have the great players playing in our stadiums and our arenas. I mean, but it is very, very confusing. The press secretary, Jen Psaki, came down with COVID today. I read before we came on the air. So, it's something still hanging around. It's not going away, and but I do think sometimes it's an overreach of what they do.
And with all the testing that we have and all the testing that's going on, when you get tested, you're cleared for 72 hours.
Right.
You know what? Why Major League Baseball has enough money. NBA has enough money. NHL has enough money. Why not have someone there testing these guys that, the day they come back from a road trip? If they test negative, they're good for the next 3 days, then test them again. They're able to do this with what they call science, right? And why not allow that? And if I'm Randy Levine, if I'm the owners of these teams, the Steinbrenners, I'm going, wait a minute, I'm paying these guys $30 million. I'm paying $20 million to all these. I want these players on the field.
Well, people want to come and see them also.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a situation, and hey, listen, I'm sure when we get Sweeney Murdy on here a little bit later, we can discuss a little bit more of that and talk about everything Yankees.
So you're saying Mayor Adams won't be throwing out the first pitch on opening day?
Exactly. So listen, it's 8:20 a.m. WWBA, the Big 8 South Florida Sports Talk. Remember, this is live, 727-518-0820. Give us a call and ask your questions.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles.
All right, so we're out, and I finally got
The Minnesota Vikings and
Robin
pass
Cardio
rushers
squared away.
Darius
So
Smith
once
have
we
agreed to
come
terms of a
back, I'm
3-year
gonna play
contract
that
worth
and
a
then go right
reported
to you guys.
$42 million. Smith spending the last 3 years with the Packers.
Understood.
It was earlier this offseason, though, that it was believed
After the
Smith
video
was
for the
headed back
return,
to
you'll hear
Baltimore,
Robin's audio
where he
going,
started
what are
his
they
career,
talking
but
about? And
instead
then I'll send it to you
lands
guys.
in Minnesota. Buccaneers re-signed running back Leonard Fournette to a 3-year deal worth $21 million. One NFL team has reportedly offered the Niners 2 second-round picks for quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo.
Did you guys hear me?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, cool.
39 seasons with the last 6 as the Mustangs men's basketball coach. Blue Jays gave newly acquired third baseman Matt Chapman a 2-year extension worth $25 million, buying out the final years of arbitration. Oakland Hills Country Club in Michigan will host the 2034 and 2051 U.S. Opens. The club plans to rebuild their clubhouse after a major fire last month.
This is the Big 8.
Sports, news, information, and entertainment.
820 WWBA. The Big 8.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Lang, host of popular talk show Ask the Doctor. I have researched and developed several nutritional products to keep you healthy and happy. Are you overweight? Be honest. Life can be challenging and sometimes quite miserable when you're overweight. Losing weight will make you feel better, look better, and make you much healthier. However, this can be quite difficult. I have developed a system called Fortify Healthy Weight Loss Bundle. This is a combination of 16 organic superfoods, enzymes, probiotics, and grass-fed whey protein. When used as a meal replacement once a day, this is the answer to a healthy weight loss. Simply mix the superfood with the protein in a shaker and drink as one of your meals daily. Then take the enzymes and probiotics with other meals. And voila, you're off to losing weight. Go to fortify.com. That's FORTIFEYE. Remember the EYE in Fortify. This healthy weight loss bundle is already discounted for your convenience. I am Dr. Lang, and I am helping keep America fit and healthy during this time of precautionary change.
Hey, you ever wanted to get into the radio business, but no one is hiring? Well, if you'd like to give it a shot, we have entry-level openings right now. We'll teach you the basics of radio, and if you have what it takes, the sky's the limit. If you like talk radio, whether it's sports or news talk, email us today. Contact@newstalkflorida.com. That's contact@newstalkflorida.com. We have a lot of room for growth in both news talk and sports talk, so email us today. Contact@newstalkflorida.com. Sports, information, entertainment.
This is the real world.
AM 820, 96.7 FM Tampa, 98.3 FM Pinellas. Tampa Bay's home for Bubba the Love Sponge. Morning 6 to 10. Big 8.
The Big 8.
A portion of the upcoming broadcast is brought to you in part by the law firm of Catania and Catania, award-winning personal injury, auto, and motorcycle accident attorneys, serving Tampa Bay families for over 28 years. Offices Tampa, not attorney spokesman. The King and the Cop continues. Let's get back to the show. It's Tommy, Jimmy, and Robin.
What are they talking about?
Welcome back to the King and the Cop. Jimmy Lariats, Tommy Setner, and Robin Delory. Jimmy, one of the shocking things woke up this morning to was, and I am a big fan, and we talked about it on our previous shows with the other station, but Phil Mickelson is not going to play at the Masters this year. And it's a perfect example of kind of the combination of cancel culture and his people just saying, "Boy, did you just put your foot in your mouth and just go quiet for a while?" And it's Phil Mickelson, that green jacket. Everybody remember that his brand comes out of that picture where he jumps up in the air from the Masters when he wins it. What's your thoughts? And before I ask you your thoughts, I don't know if I read it right. I hope I read it right, but he said, the pressure and it's weighing me down, the Masters, and I'm not sure if Phil, you just won a major. You just won a major. So it has nothing to do with that. It's the pressure is coming from him getting involved in that silliness of beating up the PGA a little bit, and now he doesn't want to face anybody, and that's his choice. But what's your thoughts on that? From a professional athlete, how do you give that up? How do you give that the greatest tournament that you played for the last 30 years?
For me, it's that, but it's also like, you're 50 years old. You don't have too many more of these left where you can compete at that level.
Right.
And, I understand it just from a standpoint of, the amount of publicity and, the pressure that he might be under, and at his age, maybe he just says, "Hey, listen, I don't want to do it again." I feel sorry for him, and it's a situation that, when somebody says a remark or makes a mistake or something like that, and it's not done viciously, it's not done.
Yeah, we talked about it. You're owed a second chance.
Exactly, and this is a guy that, for many, many years, even though the PGA might be mad at him, made the PGA a lot of money.
Yeah, sure did. I have to ask you this. Did you know that the Masters doesn't fall under the PGA?
Well, that's
it's
true.
not
too.
run by the PGA.
That is true also.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But still, they loved Phil Mickelson. Loved him. But in fairness to Phil, because he is, what we've seen over the years and what I've heard, and he's a great guy. Maybe he didn't want to go there and take the attention away from the Masters itself. So maybe I'm being a little selfish because I want to see him out there. But maybe he just decided I already screwed up a little bit, so let the Masters go this year and let the guys get the attention they deserve.
Well, that's true too. But I also might believe him a little bit too, because I'm 50, almost 60 years old.
I saw the way you walked today up the stairs.
Exactly.
There's only one guy worse than you.
That's you.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, maybe he isn't feeling up to it. Maybe he sees the way some of these young guys are playing right now.
That's true.
And going, you know what? Maybe this is, maybe this is the good time for me to walk away this year and, break that streak since 1994.
But Phil had that attitude of never giving a crap about anything, and that's the way he played the game, and that's why he was beloved,
Exactly.
But, we wish him luck, and he'll be missed. He will be missed. I mean, when you turn on that first day and you see Mickelson on the leaderboard,
I will be there, and I'll be disappointed that I can't watch him, because I usually followed him for a couple holes every year I went.
Yeah. So, good luck to him, and still, hello, friends. Can't wait for the Masters. So.
Yes, it's going to be a good week.
Yeah. So, I was again during the break. I got a text messages and somebody's asking me, "Are you really telling me that Toronto's better than the Yankees?" All right, nobody said that, but I'll say this: I brought my grandson a shirt because I'm getting nervous. I might have to make him a Blue Jay fan this year.
Wait a minute, we didn't say Toronto was going to win this thing.
Right.
We said this division.
They look good.
We said this division was going to be one of the toughest divisions ever, and I am a lot more afraid of Toronto than I was when they were younger, because these kids are starting to figure it out.
That's right.
And of course, like we mentioned, these guys, the Tampa Bay is always there. Boston has done things to improve their team. The Yankees have done things to improve their team too. So for me, it wasn't a matter of who's going to win the division of those four teams. It's that this division is going to be tough to win for anybody.
Yeah, and and I'm all over the Met fans yesterday, but Yankee fans are paranoid too, and I'm one of them. Man, they just don't like to see anything. We got to come out of spring training first game, and we got to have put 12 runs up, and people forget they got to get their work in, especially in this short spring training season. But I think your point, we were saying it today, you and I, it's fun to be a baseball fan right now. There's a lot of young, great baseball players, and you're kind of rooting for baseball, never mind your team. You're enjoying watching these guys.
Yeah, but you know what? It's really making me feel old, because I remember these kids running around
with their fathers.
With their fathers, and that was even after I was done playing, when I was doing TV and radio for MLB.com, and watching these little kids come around, and all of a sudden they're out there playing. But it's great because the lineage that these kids come from, and to be able to, for their parents and for their families, like you were just mentioning, my mom and dad. Can you imagine, Biggio's mom and dad who watched Craig Biggio play, and now they're watching their grandson play. It's just a thrill. It's got to be a thrill.
Speaking of thrills, I just got a report that Robin's son Joey doubled his first time at bat. So
nice.
I'm sure she's jumping around in the geese crap.
So here's the deal. I don't really know if you can call it a double. Let me explain. So he swings the bat and he hits it right to second base.
Yeah. Okay. So you gave me false. You're fake news. You're just fake news.
No, I'm telling you the truth. Listen.
Right.
I'm trying to give you the visual. He's chassaying to first base like a ballerina, thinking that the second baseman is going to throw it to the first baseman, who's going to catch it. So the first baseman did not catch it. So Joey didn't hustle to first base, and then the first baseman.
That would be a two-base error.
Two-base error. So Joey's 0 for 1.
And he's on second base, but it was a two-base error. So
Yeah.
he's 0 for 1 and tell Joey that.
That was trivia for you, right? What do you call that?
And we need to tell.
Error.
And I'm gonna have a talk with Joey and let him know that when the scouts are watching you play, if you don't hustle down to first base, you get a check mark in the bad category.
Yeah, it's a conversation we had over and over last year. So we're gonna switch subjects, Robbie. We'll keep it.
Face right now.
I'm sure we'll keep in touch. We'll let us know. Let us know how the second at bat goes.
Yeah, we're gonna have Sweeney Murdy on it just to talk about the big league guys.
Yeah. So back to these big league guys. Again, we're joking around that Chapman's 15 feet away from us today and got an extra $50 million. And again, I was I was paying attention a lot today. I watch these kids, and Jimmy, I watch you. I mean, nobody even turns around anymore, like wants to give him an autograph. It is spring training, and I guess everybody's so busy just feeling like they're put their work in. So I'm going to leave it at that. But then I watch you walk out of steps, and we can't even get down to get our sausage sandwich, which we eventually did, by the way, and we'll taste that the rest of the day. But it was worth it. But the guys like yourself and the people that played in your era seem just to be more engaged, if you will.
Yeah, it is a different time, and again, I don't want to make COVID as the excuse, but I'm sure, again, I didn't play during the last 3 or 4 years that these guys have been playing with all the protocols that are in place.
That's true too.
And so that might have something to do with it.
It probably has a lot to do with it. It's a great point, and probably I missed that because you're right. They're telling them do not shake hands or do this anymore and take photos.
I mean, even Bam Bam, who I've known, he came over and he gave me a fist bump. That was all I got from Bam Bam.
Or as my grandson would say, knuckles.
Yeah.
He gets knuckles.
Exactly. So I think that might have a little bit to do with it. And that is really, Tommy, what I look forward to next year. Mm-hmm. Is I look forward to getting back to that because, like you just mentioned, I remember being in the Padres spring training in Arizona. And I remember Garth Brooks in 1999 joined us, and he was part of the spring training.
I remember that.
Yep, and he came out every single day, took ground balls at third. He played in a couple of the games. But the one thing that Garth Brooks really made all of us realize is how important the fans were, because after every day of working out, after every day's games, he stayed after and he signed every single autograph for every fan that was in the stands. Amazing. Before he left, he made sure every single person got his attention, and he really taught us a lot. Like, you know what, this is who you should be thanking. This is who you should be spending your extra time, not going in the locker room and popping up a beer and just hanging out and doing nothing. You know what? Spend your time, enjoy, and tell the fans thank you for coming out and thank you for watching.
Arnold Palmer was the same way, and he tried to teach these kids before he passed. When you sign an autograph, sign your name proper, that they can read it and know who you are. Be proud of it. So it's I hope it gets back to normal. But you're right. COVID did put a big wedge in between the fans and, science. We need science to give us the real answer. Again, we're still struggling and need a bipartisan answer on what the right thing to do is, because it's we want to be safe, and we all know we all lost friends and family during that time, so everybody's a little nervous. But when you get to that ballpark, you feel like you're a kid again, you know. So you just want to see what you used to see.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited. You know, this is the first time I was here in spring training in 2020. It was March, I think it was March 7th and 8th. I had a couple of appearances for the Yankees up at Tampa, and I remember March 8th hitting, and all of a sudden I showed up for my appearance. It was like, Jim, sorry, no more appearances. No more, no more. We're not doing this anymore. And, the protocols started going into place. And, it was.
It's not back to normal yet. It's
No.
just plain and simple. It's just not.
But I was excited to be, now there's fans back. At least
no mask on.
Exactly, no masks on. They're sitting out there in the beautiful sunshine,
right,
enjoying the day. And I'm glad you and I went out because
I am too.
And
we're going tomorrow night.
Yes, we are. We are going to go watch.
So we're going tomorrow night, and we'll have a good time. What are the Yankees playing tomorrow night? I know it's like 6:35.
Oh, you know what?
Is it the Phillies?
It might be the Phillies.
We should know the answer to that. The Blue Jays got in our head
actually, I
today.
think it's the Baltimore Orioles.
It is the Baltimore Orioles. You're correct.
Yes.
Talk about a franchise that's struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what?
I remember going there when Camden Yards opened. It was so exciting. Great place to watch a game. A little bit of a bandbox for hitters there, as you know. But I don't know. Buck tried to turn it around, but just they seem like they can't get out of the red zone themselves.
Right. Well, listen. Again, we just talked about it before. They're in the toughest division.
Yeah. So
in
I don't
all
see
of
them.
baseball. So
you're right. They're not moving quickly on this division right now. They got a lot of people to jump over.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play in that division. That's for sure.
Why is Atlanta giving everybody away?
That's a great point. It's one of those things when you win a World Series,
right?
Do you just get rid of everybody? And the Padres did it in
so
in
did the
98.
Marlins. Marlins let everybody go after they won the World Series.
Well,
they bought everybody though the year
exactly.
before. Right.
I remember Wayne Huizenga when he took over because I lived down there in Fort Lauderdale, and I remember Wayne Huizenga saying, "Hey, I'm buying this championship, and we're gonna win,
and then I'm out." Yeah.
And he was very honest about it. And
that's not good for baseball.
No, it wasn't.
But then again, it's like we talked about yesterday. The NBA is doing this kind of thing where they're hiring these hired guns to win NBA championships. So it's a business. We talked about it yesterday.
Yes, and I just got a text message from Sweeney. We will have him on as we come back from our next break. Remember, it's 8:20 a.m. WWBA, the Big 8, South Florida Sports Talk. Call in 727-518-0820. It's the King and the Cop, Jim Leyritz and Tom Sedner.
Find the best coverage of Florida sports all in one place.
Sports Talk.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to get your attention. Sweeney's still on hold.
Yeah, he said he was actually.
That includes F-150s and Super Duties. We have the allocation, the experience, and the knowledge to get you the perfect vehicle built and delivered quickly. On average, in as little as 8 to 10 weeks. After all, Brandon Ford is the largest volume Ford truck dealer in America. So if you're tired of the inflated market adjustments at other dealers, custom order your new Ford from Brandon Ford. Skip the markups and get your vehicle fast. On average, in as little as 8 to 10 weeks. Brandon Ford, Highway 60 and 301 in Tampa, and at BrandonFord.com, the largest volume Ford truck dealer in America. If you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to pay less on your custom order Ford and get it fast, that's Brandon Ford's business. So are you ready for your new Ford?
If you have $2,000 or more in credit card debt, then listen up. We can reduce or eliminate your interest rates. Cut your monthly payment up to 50% and stop all late fees. Our company has been helping good people just like you get out of debt for over 30 years. Don't get stressed out. If you have $2,000 or more in credit card debt and medical bills, we can show you a way to reduce all of your bills to one lower monthly payment that you can afford. So again, if you have $2,000
Apparently he's
or
calling
more
again.
in credit card debt and medical bills you can't afford.
Say it again?
He's calling you, and he said no one's answering the phone. Oh, okay. Welcome back to the King and the Cop on 8:20 a.m. WWBA, the Big 8 South Florida Sports Talk. And as we promised, coming up, we have now on the phone Sweeney Murdy. Sweeney, sorry about the technical difficulties. We're glad you could finally join us.
Hi, Jimmy. How you doing?
We're doing good. You got me and Tom Suttner, and
Thanks for coming on, Sweeney. Really appreciate it.
yeah, we were just discussing about sitting in Dunedin today in our 1 hour inning with Jordan Montgomery, his debut pitching today. And, I know you're getting on a plane tomorrow. You're going to be coming down to take in the rest of spring training. Tell us a little bit, Sweeney, about what you think this year is going to hold, and what can these Yankee fans look forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't think they're complete yet. I think they have kind of an imperfect roster and trying to figure out exactly where DJ LeMahieu's going to play. I know they talk about moving around a little bit, but I don't know. Like, I just think a guy who was batting champion in almost every team in the league, I think you want to have a little bit more of a specific, here's where he's going to play and that kind of thing. And so I'm not sure they're completely done yet with what they're doing. Plus, there's obviously two pitchers out there still available from Oakland, and the Yankees are in the mix for those guys. They had an issue with Domingo Germán, who has some shoulder soreness, so they're kind of figuring out if they need some more pitching. I do think pitching was a strength for them last year, and I do think they have some good depth, but when guys like that are available, you definitely have to look after that. I think, I don't know yet what I want to call this team, because I know the team that takes the field on April 7th isn't the same team that's going to take the field on September 7th.
Right.
And really all I want to know when the season starts every year is this team capable of winning 90 games? And I look at it and say, yes, it's capable of winning 90 games. Now, it's a tough division, and a lot of things can happen, and that'll shift you, plus or minus 5 either way, depending on what things happen. But if you ask me about the roster that's going to take the field on April 7th, are they capable of winning 90 games, plain and simple? I say, yeah. That might not be enough to win the playoffs, be in the playoffs, as it wasn't last year. You need to do a little bit more than 90. So those are the kind of things you kind of figure out along the way. I've never, this is going to be my 22nd season. I don't think I've ever gone into a season saying, yes, the Yankees are going to win the World Series this year. And if I did, it was probably in 2001, 2002, when it just seemed like they were doing it every year.
Right. Right. I think, and for me, I think the biggest thing with this being a 10-game playoff this year, to 10 teams making it, I think it's going to be maybe a little bit different. But the Yankees' problem isn't getting to the playoffs; it's when they get through the playoffs. And it's going to be interesting to see what those guys do. Tell me a little bit about. One of the things that every Yankee fan's talking about is how come we didn't get one of those 5 shortstops that was out there. And, I do know Anthony Volpe. Is this kid someone that you really think they're waiting on? And is that going to be their future?
Jimmy, you're probably pretty well equipped to talk about what it means to be sitting here waiting for a guy like Volpe.
Right.
Because you were obviously there when Derek Jeter was coming up.
Yep.
And coming up through the system. And you were on a big league roster when this kid was drafted and coming up and playing A-ball and AA and AAA. And, your team was struggling looking for help. And, you signed, the Yankees signed Tony Fernandez.
Right.
Now, I don't remember who else was available at the time. Clearly not the kind of free agents that they just came out in this open market, but there's also a much different economic system than there is today.
Right.
So the Yankees are looking at a payroll that's already over $270 million, and they haven't, or close to $270 million. Sorry, they're over 250, and they didn't sign any of those guys. So they've got decisions to make as far, self-imposed. They could obviously spend more if they wanted to. But they've got decisions to make as to how to, they have to, Aaron Judge is going to be re-signed here long term. And I think part of the thing is, if you think about where the Yankees were in the last, say 5-10 years ago, they got there because, and if you have people in the area who are Phillies fans too, you'll understand this too. You had a core of players who won championships with you, who were very important players, then you re-signed them and signed them into their mid to late 30s, and you watch them on the decline instead of on the rise. And having to work around those rosters because those players, one, for you were very popular players, you saw what happens when you kind of hold on to them. And the Yankees saw it as Jeter, Teixeira, A-Rod, Sabathia all got older. The Phillies saw it as Rollins, Utley, and Howard all got older. And you held on to these guys because why would you let them walk away? Great players, popular players. But what it cost you to sign them and how long you had to sign them for ended up turning your roster a certain direction, and you had to recover from that. What the Yankees have been trying to avoid, it appears, is having too many of those guys on the roster at once because they've already got Garrett Cole and Giancarlo Stanton locked into those years. Aaron Judge is going to be a player you're going to want to lock into those years. Couple all that with the fact that you have not just Anthony Volpe, but Oswald Peraza, who is going to be AAA this year. A couple of really good-looking shortstop prospects that are on the rise, and you're waiting to see what they become. Now, it's unfair to peg Derek Jeter on Anthony Volpe or Oswald Peraza. It's unfair to anybody. But I will tell you this, Jimmy. People talk to me about Anthony Volpe the way they talked about Derek Jeter. Okay, the way they speak about him in terms that people say remind them of Derek Jeter when he was 20 years old.
Right.
Now, again, remember, that doesn't mean that Anthony Volpe is going to play for 20 years and walk into the Hall of Fame with 5 World Series or 2,000 hits. It means that when Derek Jeter was 20 years old, he exhibited a lot of the same things that Anthony Volpe is exhibiting now. And it's important for people to remember that distinction. He looks really good. If he had gone to college, he would probably be one of the top 2 or 3 picks in the entire draft this year. That's how good he has become and the kind of player he is. The Yankees got him at number 30 out of high school. If he was coming out of the draft now, he'd be the kind of player you'd say, boy, why don't the Yankees ever get a player like this? Because they don't draft that high.
You're listening to Sweeney Murdy and on The King and the Cop with Tommy Sentner and Jimmy Lehrer. Sweeney, I have 2 questions for you. I love what you're saying about the Jeter comparison, but back in the day they used to say this is the next Mickey Mantle, and that was almost like a curse, to these kids.
You can't put that on the guy, right? But the problem is, this is what the Yankees have. The Yankees have these players who have been playing those positions and in recent memory. And if you're a 20-year-old Yankee fan, you obviously know who Derek Jeter is. The next player who is a shortstop and who is a good prospect, you're automatically just going to think about Derek Jeter.
Right.
You know, I don't. Did Jim Leyritz, did you get compared to Thurman Munson all the time when you were coming up? I don't know.
Well, people hoped he would be, right? You know, everybody. Hey, another question I have for you. We're sitting there watching the game today. We're watching Chapman, the third baseman for the Blue Jays, and he just got an extra $50 million. They extended him $25 million a year. What's your thoughts? Like, what is Judge thinking at this point? You know, I mean, as a Yankee fan, I'm hoping he gets long term. Yeah, 2 years.
25 for 2 years.
Oh, was it 2 years? Okay, I gave him an extra $25 million. But you know, Sweeney, I'm brainwashed after I hear $140 million. You're just thinking they're throwing money around, and I'm just wondering, are the Yankees going to lock Judge in at this point?
Well, yeah, at some point, sure. I don't know what's going to happen before the season or what's going to happen after. I mean, clearly they're going to get after it and talk about it before the season starts here. I don't think there's any great disadvantage to the Yankees if they don't sign him before the season starts. I know people are going to look at Freddie Freeman, who, you know, it lingered and lingered, and the Braves ended up letting him go.
Yeah, good point.
But I don't think that the Yankees are getting any sort of discount on Judge, if that makes sense, if they sign him before the season. So I don't think it would hurt them if they waited till the end of the year. And if he has a great year, and you say, oh, well, it's going to cost you an extra $1 million, all right, well, okay, whatever. You got a great year out of him, right?
Yeah.
I think that he's a guy that everybody around the Yankees knows how important he is. Everybody follows the Yankees knows how important he is. And clearly, you're moving in a direction to sign him long term. I'd be shocked if it didn't happen. Let's just see where the numbers go and how many years it is. He's in a tricky position as a guy who's coming out of college, a little bit older, so he hits free agency a little bit older. And you're just trying again to avoid getting locked too late into a player's 30s at really high numbers. You're trying to take advantage of what he is now. Listen, it's Yankees' great misfortune in that what they started to show in 2017 didn't play out the way it did in the 90s. The Yankees had a lot of young players coming up in the 90s with veterans around them. Those young players helped the team win World Series championships, multiple, before they were even arbitration eligible. This group of Yankees young stars made all-star appearances and you know, had some really good years, but they did not win World Series, not even one, before they got to arbitration heading towards free agency. And now you've already seen Gary Sanchez jettisoned. Gleyber Torres is going to start making money. Aaron Judge is on the cusp of free agency. A couple others didn't pan out. And the Yankees are still searching for that one World Series win. I will tell you this. I think the biggest mistake a Yankee fan can make is thinking that a World Series is going to be the start of another dynasty. I think what you've seen recently shows you how hard it is to win one. The sport is not designed anymore for the Yankees to dominate and win multiple World Series in a row. In fact, all the luxury stuff happened after the Yankees last did that. The sport was designed in order to keep the Yankees from running away from the rest of the league in such a fashion. So if the Yankees do happen to win one, just remember that it is one. And remember how hard it is to win one. And it doesn't mean the Yankees are going to win 4 in a row after that.
Well, and especially when you're playing in probably the best division as far as parity goes, as far as the competition in that division with the Red Sox, Tampa Bay, and, of course, the Blue Jays with their up-and-coming kids. So, yeah, it's going to be tough to even just repeat the winning the division, much less anything else.
Yeah, the other teams are allowed to be good, too, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
They're allowed to spend money. They're allowed to have good players. You know, the Blue Jays are allowed to have good players. The Rays and the Red Sox do what they do. You know, I'm pumping the brakes a little bit on Toronto. Everybody's jumping on Toronto because they obviously had a good year last year, a lot of good young players. But let me ask you this question. Let me ask it to you this way. If the New York Yankees had lost to free agency, the Cy Young Award winner, and the guy who finished third in the MVP voting last year with 45 home runs, if they lost those two players, and to replace the pitching staff, they signed a guy from the Mariners who had about a 5 ERA, gives up a lot of home runs, and a guy from San Francisco, the NL West, who has had really like 1.5 good years, and the last time he pitched in the American League East got lit up. Those are their pitching additions. Would you think the Yankees had a good off-season?
No.
And the guy that I kind of pointed this out, and people lost their minds because they didn't understand the points on Twitter. Matt Chapman's a really good player, right? A supreme defender, good offensive player. However, he's trended down the last 3 years offensively. A part of it is injury related, but that's all part of it. And he struck out over 200 times last year, had a batting average of about 210, right?
Yep.
So, if the Yankees had traded for a right-handed hitter who hit barely over 200 and struck out 200 times last year, we would not be talking about what a great addition he is to the lineup and how awesome a defender he is. We'd be talking about what I just said.
Right.
When I tried to make that comparison, people are losing their mind, thinking I'm cutting down Matt Chapman. I don't realize how good a defender he is. I don't know. None of that. It's if the Yankees had traded for this person, you would look at all those negative traits, and this is what people are saying puts Toronto over the top. I'm telling you, they lost a lot from last year. They're still a really good team, but I don't think they've made the jump to a 100-win team, which everybody seems to be giving them right now.
Right. And Sweeney, one of the things that we were talking about, Tommy and I were talking about this morning as we woke up, is, of course, Mayor Adams in New York and the situation that we're facing, that unvaccinated players are not going to be able to participate, like Kyrie Irving has not been able to participate during home games. What do you see that, and how do you see that affecting the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, I've followed this kind of like the way you guys have. It's a political story that affects the sports teams, so I'm not, diving into the City Hall beat yet. But I just know that they still have a couple of weeks to figure this out, and they're talking about it. Listen, the bottom line is that if this is in place still, and I know there are a lot of inequities and just things that just are a little off about how the policy is in effect. Bottom line, it is a policy, and they're going to have to abide by it. So if there are players in this team that are not vaccinated, and all indications are that there are, then they better take care of that, or they're going to miss games, they're going to lose money, and the team is going to have to figure out how to get around it. Because that's if the policy is still in place, I don't see how you're getting around it.
Yeah. So listen, we got to go to break in about a minute and a half. Are you able to join us for the next segment just for some more questions?
I got it. Make dinner now.
Okay.
Is there a chance that we can do this maybe some other time?
Well, no, we're gonna be. Listen, during the season, we are gonna be the lead up. Yeah, we're gonna be the lead show going into the Yankee broadcasts that are done down here in South Florida. So we will be calling you back many times this year. We hope you'll be able to come on and.
You're going to be hearing John and Susan all summer long, correct?
Yes, and you'll see me up there plenty in New York. So.
And stick around for my post-game show every night.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can we? Where can people see you, Sweeney, and get a hold of you and follow you on Twitter and Instagram and everything?
Yeah, I'm at Yankees WFAN. WFAN is the Yankees flagship station. My employer for almost 30 years, and that's the best way to do it. At Yankees WFAN, you'll find all my stuff there. I do write a few things. I do some video stuff that I put out there. And I'm on the radio just like you guys are now. So you can hopefully catch everything there.
Thanks, Sweeney. It's been a great pleasure having you on. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tom, Jimmy.
Thanks, Sweeney. All right, that was Sweeney Murdy. And, of course.
The insider of the Yankees, the real insider.
The Yankee insider.
Yeah. I mean, that didn't make me feel better hearing all those things, huh?
No, it's one of those things that.
It's going to be a fight.
I really wanted to get in more about LeMahieu because I think that's going to be an important sticking point for the Yankees.
Is he healthy?
He's healthy, and he's ready to play, and he just got a new big contract. So.
All right, thanks, Sweeney. We appreciate you.
Yep, April 7th, we'll be seeing what goes on with the Red Sox. So, again, you're listening to The King and the Cop, 8:20 a.m. WWBA, the Big 8, South Florida Sports Talk.
All right, we're out.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Dan Byer.
Matt Ryan is now a member of the Indianapolis Colts. Introduced today as the Colts' new QB after 14 years in Atlanta.
Ultimately, it came down to a decision between either staying in Atlanta or coming here to Indianapolis. And I just knew with the roster that they talked about, their belief in the players that they have here, the belief in the way that they do things, the time was just right for me.
The Vikings and pass rusher Zadarius Smith agreed to terms on a 3-year contract. That's worth a reported $42 million. Incentives, according to the NFL Network, could push it up to $47 million. Leonard Fournette back with the Buccaneers on a 3-year deal as the running back's contract is worth $21 million. And one NFL team, according to ProFootballTalk.com, has offered the 49ers 2 second-round picks for quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. SMU's Tim Jankovich announced his retirement from coaching after 39 seasons. He spent the last 6 of those seasons as the head coach of the Mustangs program.
This is the Big 8.
Sports, information, and entertainment.
This is AM 820 WWBA Largo and AM 1060 WIXC Titusville.
A lawsuit is not something that anyone looks forward to. It's a stressful process. There are attorneys in Tampa Bay that keep clients well informed, creating less stress. That law firm is Catania Catania. Personal injury law is defended with full disclosure. There is no guessing game. If it's an auto accident, medical malpractice, nursing home negligence, unsafe working conditions, or motorcycle accidents, the law firm of Catania Catania will handle the process worry-free from start to finish. Many victims don't realize they have a claim for the loss until they talk to Catania Catania. They only represent private individuals and treat every case as if it's going to trial. Putting families first is more than just a slogan, it's their way of practicing law. It's a commitment to you. Remember, they don't get paid if you don't get paid. So go to CataniaCatania.com. Over 28 years in practice. Catania Catania personal injury, auto, and motorcycle accident attorneys. Catania Catania, putting families first.
Office Tampa. Not attorney spokeswoman.
Are you paying too much for your health insurance? Are your deductibles too high? Or are you completely uninsured? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Healthcare Help Desk can help you now when people need help the most. Health insurance laws and rules have changed. If you have Obamacare, are uninsured, or your premiums are too high, call Healthcare Help Desk. It's free. New healthcare plans are available, and you may qualify for dental coverage and lower copays and deductibles. Make the free call now. Top quality coverage at the lowest prices anywhere. You may be paying too much and not even know it. In these troubled times, healthcare is more important than ever. Don't let another day go by without health insurance. Policies are being offered with very low copays and deductibles. So if you're uninsured, underinsured, or paying too much, call Healthcare Help Desk.
800-940-8099. 800-940-8099. 800-940-8099.
This message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Elder Affairs, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station. I'm Marshall. I'm a volunteer with the Florida Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Now more than ever during the pandemic, Florida long-term care residents deserve the best care and quality of life. I invite you to join me and hundreds of others in advocating on behalf of people who can't speak for themselves. Visit ombudsman.myflorida.com to join us today.
Introducing Fidelity Income Planning. We look at how much you've saved, how much you'll need, and help you build a straightforward plan to generate income, even when you're not working. A plan that gives you the chance to grow your savings and create cash flow that lasts. Plus, you can start, stop, or adjust your plan at any time. Talk to us today so we can help you go from saving to living. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE, SIPC.
I would like to introduce to you at this time
The King and the Cop.
Okay, hit it!
Let's get back to the show.
Welcome back to the King and the Cop. Tommy Setner and Jimmy Leyritz, Robin Delory. What are they talking about on assignment? 5 o'clock hour. And Jimmy, this is an interesting subject that me and you have been going back and forth. And funny that Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida says the Florida native beat a transgender swimmer, Leah Thomas, at the NCAA championship. So he did a proclamation and declared her, the Florida resident, the winner over her. Or him at this point. I'm not sure officially. I guess this transgender male into a female has challenged all these NCAA great swimmers. And as an athlete, I know you have a pretty strong opinion on it, and I'm kind of side by side with you on it.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because, again, it's everybody's own opinion and what they think and what they feel. We are not, I always say this, I don't like to give my personal opinion if I'm not in that arena.
Right.
And I'm not in that arena. I am also a person that understands the biological makeup of a woman and the biological makeup of a man.
Sure.
And I'm also one person that likes to do a lot of research before I make any comments about anything. And I did. In the last 2 days, I've been researching this. And it's interesting because my first reaction was like, how in the heck could this guy be a junior in college as a male and be the 484th ranked swimmer? And then he decides to get hormone therapy for 1 year. And now all of a sudden he's a woman and he's number one. And from the outside looking in, you're like, okay, well, that's just not fair. But then you start going in and you start reading comments about what other swimmers, these women swimmers that are in the field with her, and there is a lot of mixed emotions, TC. There's a lot of mixed emotions as far as some people thinking, okay, well, it's not, she's getting this therapy. Her times are slowing down because she doesn't have the testosterone. But man, it's for me, I'm thinking, wait, if this was something that was started as a 15 or 14, 13-year-old person, and you've made that transition and you've competed at that 13 to 15-year-old level all the way through to you got your scholarship to college as a transgendered woman, now you could compete.
Well,
with the women.
Governor DeSantis tweeted out the following: by allowing men to compete in women's sports, the NCAA is destroying opportunities for women, making a mockery of its championship, and perpetuating a fraud, DeSantis wrote. I got 3 daughters. I agree with him. I watch these kids, grow up, and they played sports, and they try, and then, I'd be really upset. And it has one thing as everybody has the right to live their life the way they want to live their life, but I don't think they get to dictate what they can come in and upset the old apple cart, as they say, and throw NCAA and pro sports into a frenzy.
Well, you know what? My dad always used to tell me, Jimmy, sports is your privilege.
Yeah, good.
It's not a right.
Right.
You know what? It's a privilege, and you know what? You have to earn that privilege. And like I just mentioned,
respect the game.
Well, exactly. And DeSantis's comment that we cannot allow men. He didn't say boys. He said men.
Right.
This guy was a full-fledged 20-year-old man, and within a year, all of a sudden, can transfer. And that's where you get into the science, you get into all the biological stuff. There's so many different opinions on each side. And again, I'm not in swimming, so I don't know all of how much of an advantage. Obviously, it's a pretty big advantage, or it wouldn't be such a controversy. But I find it very hard to believe that if you did not compete coming up through juniors and in AAU and all these other divisions as a transgendered woman, that you should not listen. You want to live your life that way because you recognize yourself that way, that's how you feel. We can't.
You're entitled to.
Yeah, we can't make comments on their mental condition and what they're going through, and that's not our right. But as far as sports go, as far as the privilege of competing in college and getting scholarships and things like that, I think it's unfair.
Well, I think we all support their personal decision, but that doesn't give them a right to bleed over into the sports world and start dominating different sports that people have trained their whole life for as a male or a female, whatever the case may be. But the great state of Florida, Governor DeSantis, boy, he loves to take the lead on things. And, I'll say it like this for hope maybe we can get him on the show this week. But Governor, it's nice to see somebody stick up for the other side too. Yes. We sometimes we go over the top sticking up for people's new rights or new feelings, and that's great. But then there becomes victims, and in this case, the NCAA swimmers became victims to something that we're all not comfortable with just yet. And the greatest Olympian, Bruce Jenner, will be the first one to say, he doesn't think it's fair. And maybe it's just that, Jimmy. Maybe it's that simple. It's just not fair.
Yep. And again, my whole point in this, we're using this one particular case. We're not using all the other ones.
We're not picking on anybody.
Exactly. We're using this one particular situation. And in my personal feeling is that because he was a man, he wasn't a boy,
right.
He wasn't a kid, he was a man, and the transition was after. It really is unfair. It's not fair to the girls that have been going through AAU and their parents have been sacrificing, taking them to their practice.
4 o'clock in the morning car rides to go to practice.
And trust me, I know a bunch of swimmers out in California, the girls that are playing in high school, competing in high school. And, to hear some of these girls that worked all the way through college.
Well, Jimmy, you said something to me yesterday. I love it. Some of the girls are saying, let her swim and we'll kick her ass. Yeah. Make an example that way. But it's both sides, and it's a very emotional subject, and we're not picking on the person we wish them the best of luck. We just don't think it's fair when it comes to sports. Yeah. And you, as a professional athlete, can say that.
Yep.
And the governor, I guess, feels that he can say that. And good for him fighting for what's now become the champions. Or the past champions are the underdog, so good for him.
Listen, I'm all for, Leah Thomas is going to be studying to become a lawyer, and I'm all for, getting her education and being able to go do that and to pursue whatever she may like to pursue as a woman the rest of her life.
We're not rooting against her.
But we're not. But as far as her able to compete in the sports, we have to figure out something. The NCAA has to figure out something. Professional sports has to figure out something. What are we going to do going forward? That's going to be fair to everybody.
I'll say it this way: get a pair already, and make a damn decision. I mean, really, make a damn decision, because it's affecting young people's lives that have trained their life and look forward to something. It might come down right to the scholarship. It's bad enough you can't even get a damn scholarship because of the virus that ripped through this world and stopped these kids in high school from being accepted onto football, baseball, basketball teams. Women sports were affected by the WNBA, everybody. So, life is tough enough. Get a pair, make a decision. Let's stick with it. Wish her the best of luck in her endeavors. But, man, come on.
Exactly. So, listen, you're listening to The King and the Cop on 8:20 a.m. WWBA, the Big 8, South Florida. Listen, we got a phone number for you guys to call in, 727-518-0820. Listen,
we were told yesterday this has been a taped show for a few months. Yeah, so, we got some live.
We are on a subject that I know there is opinions out there. Guys, call in, 727-518-0820. We want to hear from everybody.
I was up again late last night, and I'm doing my second hit of caffeine or water because I got the energy for the show. But
after sitting in that sun, I needed it today.
All right, the sun was putting us out, right? I mean, it really was putting us out. But I took my little caffeine. I couldn't bring it into the stadium, but me and you and the Uber ride home were charging up. So, and by the way, I was picking on my friend Joe yesterday from Caffeine and Water because he's a Met fan, all out of love. Joe, hope you're feeling better, buddy. Call us in so when you're feeling better, I can abuse you again about being a Met fan. Yes, but after watching the Yankees today, I don't know. I might have to go see Buck and see how they're doing down there.
Well, I'm hoping after our Friday show this week that Joe and Ron will be able to join us, and I'll get an opportunity to meet them face to face.
Absolutely.
And discuss about what we're going to do, because this Caffeine and Water is on fire in California right now, TC.
These Jersey boys know how to get it around, too, and you're helping them out, so that's fun. Let's get on to maybe a couple different positive things. Not that the last subject wasn't positive, but it's just funny that Governor DeSantis came out today of all days. Me and you have been kicking it around when we were going to talk about it on the show. But a lot of different things coming up in the news as far as the virus coming back, and it's making people nervous again a little bit and on edge. But then again, I looked around today and I felt like people are a little more carefree. But there is, we still can't get a real bipartisan commitment, a scientific fact on what to do. And I was sitting there today enjoying it so much, and I'm like, man, almost like praying to yourself, don't take this away from us again. We need this. We need baseball. We need these sports. It makes people feel better.
Just like I didn't know you picked Justin Thomas yesterday.
Right.
You just don't know what you just realized. You just led into me. I have the shirt on today. Drew Marine, BioPlanet, which is a company that I also work for. I'm a spokesperson for. We have the
You're becoming like Shaq, by the way, with all these endorsements.
Exactly. We have the electrostatic spray and the chemical, the Clean Republic, Drew Marine and BioPlanet. We've teamed up together. And if you want to make your offices, you want to make certain things safe.
Great product.
We have the ability to do that. So I appreciate that you just set me up right there. So I appreciate that.
No,
So,
great product.
yes, and but like you mentioned, it is something that is never going to go completely away, and you have to get with the signs of the times. And try to protect our workers, our athletes. All different.
Yeah, you got to do all the right things, but you can't live in fear either.
And you can't. No, you can't. And it's, it's you and I talked about it today. We both had the Omicron virus,
Right.
And we survived it. And
You survive it, but it scares the bejesus out of you because if you have other symptoms and stuff, which I got a couple of them, and you start reading all these horrible stories and all the horrific stories at the beginning, and you're like afraid to close your eyes sometimes,
Oh yeah, it's real.
But it's real. But
we're not denying that at all.
I just I'm glad. We were on Mayor Adams a little bit earlier about the decisions making, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But one of the good decisions he made in New York City was let's get these masks off these kids.
Yes.
And let our kids start living again. You imagine when years down the road, when my grandson, he's 2 now, when he's 15, he's going to say, "Pop, why did everybody have a mask on in these pictures? What happened?" And it's almost like 19, 17, 18. We were going to talk like the Spanish flu. We're going to be telling our grandchildren about this, so it's real. And again, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm sitting there today again, as the Yankees were. It was painful to watch for the first hour of an inning, thinking daydreaming about many different things, and one of them was, "Wow, I missed this, man." I missed this.
I'm looking forward to getting that getting back. Listen, we got, like I said before, when we led into the show today, we got some pretty exciting things coming up over the next 2 weeks. And, like I mentioned, we talked about the Masters. We talked about that. And then, of course, I really want to go over because, TC, I'm getting killed in this pool. It's killing me because these guys have just, Kentucky #1 gets knocked out. And then all of a sudden, Baylor gets knocked out, and those were my 2 big picks. But this week coming up, of course, on Thursday and Friday, we have the Sweet 16. We've got #1 Gonzaga versus #4 Arkansas, #2 Duke versus #3 Texas Tech, #1 Arizona versus #5 Houston, #2 Villanova versus Michigan. These games are all on Thursday. On Friday, we'll have Kansas versus Providence. We have Miami versus Iowa State, the 10 and 11 seeds. #4 UCLA against #8 North Carolina, and of course #3 Purdue against your hometown #15.
I know,
St.
Peter's. Can't wait for you to get your sweatshirt. It came today.
I know. There we go. But
who are you picking? Who's your?
Listen, I started from the beginning, and I picked Gonzaga from the very start, and that was my.
You really went out on a limb, huh?
Well, yeah, exactly. After they lost last year, I was like, okay, this team's coming back, and they know what the taste of defeat is. They're gonna be extra hungry next year, and they're gonna, Drew Timmy's gonna lead them, I think, to victory this year. So.
Well, but in your heart, you're rooting for Duke. You said yesterday.
Well, yes, I'd like
Coach
to see.
K.
Yeah, I'd like to see Coach K at least get to the Final Four,
right?
And go out with that. But
so will CBS and TNT and everybody else.
But it doesn't look. I mean, again, if my Gonzaga works out, their Duke doesn't make it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, you're in a win-win situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I either win money or I get to be happy in my heart.
Yeah. I don't know how far New Jersey, St. Peter's is going to keep their head above water, but. I think they got one more in them.
Let's hope. Listen. It's all about momentum.
Yeah.
And
you're so right.
And it's
all of a sudden they get ahead, and the other team's thinking, "Is this going to happen to us too?" And then they're playing on their heels, And these guys are just free throwing it up there for. They don't care. They really. I think they got St. Peter's looking over.
Right. You got to remember these are young kids.
No fear.
Yeah. These are kids that, They some of them haven't played in the Final Four. Some of them haven't played in the Elite Eight, and now they're even in the Sweet 16. So there's a lot of pressure on these kids to, one and done is a very, very hard situation to play.
But one and done for the guys coming in that are the favorite is really who's nervous. You and I were talking about this the other night. These young men, and they are young men, the shots that they make, even the foul shots. When all 16,000 people are screaming at them and the coaches are yelling at them and these kids are clutch, man.
Yeah.
You want these kids working for you in real business. You're going to get your money's worth.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to these games. Me and you'll be together. And you keep pushing this Augusta thing. I think you booked your flight and didn't tell me already.
Well, I am still waiting. My good boy John Anthony White, who takes me to the Masters every year, and we usually take a couple people with us. And I escort them around to all the parties and all of the suites and all the things that happen at Augusta, and then I take them out and walk them, because I've been there for 7 years in a row. Show them where to watch, where the best places to watch, to set their chairs. But it's just such bad timing for me because you got Yankees Red Sox.
Yeah, I know, the open day. We're going to do our show from out there.
You know.
Hey, you're listening to Jimmy Leyritz and Tommy Setner and Robin Delory on assignment at the King and the Cop, 727-518-0820, 0820. Give us a call. But, I'm pretty excited for opening day, and it's pretty cool that it's Yankee Red Sox right out of the bat. You'll still walk around and the vendors will have the T-shirts 30, 40 years later.
Well,
Boston sucks.
Exactly. And I'm holding out hope. I'm holding out hope, like Sweeney said. There's still a couple weeks. Hopefully, with COVID and everything else goes down a little bit more in New York City, and that Mary Adams decides, you know what, enough is enough. Just in time for the Nets playoffs, just in time for the Yankees opening day, in time for the Mets opening day, which is on the 15th.
Right.
And, of course, the NHL
Who are the
playoffs.
Mets opening up against down the road? Who are they with?
You know what? I don't know.
We're going to find that out during the break. We're going to find out. And we'll be back. We're going on break. The King and the Cop, Tommy Setner, Jimmy Leyritz, and Robin Delory on assignment. This is Big 8 Radio. Give us a shout.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles.
Thanks. All right, pal. Hey, Mark Skeels is going to call in with Mark Fleming. Can you put two people on at the same time, or is it just going to be one? All right. Sounds good.
So going forward after this week, we'll come up with a show thing. And so what we'll do is we'll make the last segment always a cop, always something to do.
Or I like that thing. I like the last 5 minutes being, what are they talking about? You do whatever subject you want to talk about. It could be this company. I do whatever I want. She does whatever I want. And if we have a guest,
quite frankly, it's so bad that even I'm embarrassed.
How so? Our team sucks. Can I say that?
Well, you have a lot of disgruntled fathers. There's a lot of cursing, and there's just a lot of geese poop, and this is just not fun. It's cold, and there's the poor kid can't throw the ball over the plate. Not my son, because he's not a pitcher.
Yeah,
so
we
this is excruciating. It's almost as bad
Hold on.
as.
Let Jimmy weigh in. Let Jimmy weigh in.
I'm glad, Robin, that our day at the Yankee game wasn't much different besides it being really hot, and we didn't have any geese. we didn't have any geese poop at our day.
No,
so.
we had nice
nice
green grass and nice sausage sandwich.
That's the update.
But the game that was on the
I
field.
mean, I got nothing better for you.
I'm canceling. I'm canceling Friday's game. I will not have my son-in-law be subjected to that. Hanover High School if they can't clean it up.
This is the freshman. This is the freshman group.
You took the day off to go to a freshman game?
No, my senior is actually pitching. He has a scrimmage. He's actually pitching the last inning of the scrimmage.
Yeah.
But you know how it works. They do, I think, 6 batters and 6 batters.
Yeah.
So this is.
Are you gonna? I want you to.
interesting.
I want you to bless yourself right now. Are you?
Oh, hun, I already did.
All right. What I'm about
You
to
don't
say.
even understand. We're all talking about recipes.
No, that's
what we're
not.
making
No.
for dinner. It's
Well,
unbelievable.
we did that with Wade Boggs yesterday, but Michael does not to be on the pitcher's mound. He'll be having Tommy John surgery in about 3 minutes. Get him off the pitcher's mound.
All right,
we got to go. Skeelsy's coming on. Listen to Skeelsy.
Oh,
and
all right. Well, have fun, boys.
We will have
All
fun,
right.
but we're going to talk
Bye-bye.
about a serious subject. We're going to have Mark Skeels and Mark Fleming, 2 attorneys out of San Diego, experts, well-established guys, and they're going to talk about a case out there, Jimmy, that sheriff's officers dealt with a mental health person, and unfortunately, according to the court report and the verdict, the officers were heavy-handed, and unfortunately, this man died, and the family just received $85 million in a lawsuit. And this happens all over the country, and we were having both Marks on yesterday and had a little technical difficulty, so in about 5 or 6 minutes, they're going to come on and do our cop part of the talk. And, you know, it's a sad thing to talk about. It's never fun to talk about somebody that dies. And people have asked me this question, and friends of mine, Director Anthony Ambrose out of Newark and Mike Rothens out of L.A. and Donnie DeLuca, the chief of Miami Beach, we'd all get fielded the same question. Well, the family's getting blah, blah, blah money. Really?
Yeah, it doesn't replace.
What's it replace? What's it replace? Go ask those people if they could pay $85 million right back and bring their family member back. So kind of an edgy subject, not exciting to talk about. We'll end the show in a positive way, but I'm looking forward to hearing the story on this today. So what do you think, Jimmy, after spring training? You like day games or night games better? We're going to a night game tomorrow.
Yes, I'm looking forward to being a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
And not in quite the sunshine that we were in today, because I think if we didn't have to come here and do the show today, that I don't think I would have stayed much longer anyhow.
Do you hit better during the day or at night?
You know, probably in these stadiums, you probably do hit better in the day because the lights aren't as high, and the lights come more into play during spring training than they do during the season because the lighting in the stadiums are a lot smaller.
You know, obviously, I owned a minor team. I had the honor of owning the New York Bears for a few years. But there is something about sitting close to the field like that.
Yeah.
Being closer to the players. You watch these kids' eyeballs. Even when Bam Bam walked by today, and just, you know, the legends of the game. These guys are the young kids' legends right now, and they're close to them, and that's pretty cool because when you get in these stadiums that are 45,000, 50,000 strong, it's you don't connect as much. You know, I miss the old Yankee Stadium. That's a question I always want to ask you. New or old?
Oh, old stadium, much better. You know, one of the great things about the old stadium was that it was built it was built to be able to make the fans sit in their stands to be able to see the game.
Right.
And so everybody was always in their stands. So.
That being said, we're in kind of an old stadium today, and me and you with new knees and stuff, we could barely sit there more than 10 minutes because the seats are so close, you know, just it's tough. You know, it's tough to sit. At least the stadiums are built different. You can see better and you're more comfortable. Then again, you're sitting in this big airlines chair, but it costs you $1,500 a ticket. So I don't know. what we'll see. You know, that's just my opinion. I like the suite as I get older.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. or the press box, either way.
No, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. Tomorrow night should be fun, and we'll do our show from 4 to 6. And I think
Wait.
Tomorrow
Why don't you tell everybody who we have on tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Dwight Dr. K. Gooden will be on our show.
One of my favorite people.
Yeah.
One of the, you and I were having dinner last night, and Doc, I got to know Doc very well. He worked at the Bears, and he said that, I said to him, Doc, what did it feel like to be in that 1 year you had probably one of the greatest pitchers that ever took the mound? And you said to me last night, yeah, he's by far, if you had to pick a team for 1 year, he's up there in top 3, top 5 that you would pick to have that year, that 1 year that he had. And he had great years, but that 1 year. And, Doc admitted, I watched him today on Facebook a little. He talked about, thanks for having me on Facebook. I had a few battles. Thanks for sticking with me. You can't not like Doc Gooden when you meet him. He's just a good man.
Yeah, it's a situation where you realize, I've known him for now 20 years, and you know that the heart and the kindness of the guy, who he really is, but he just struggles with the addiction, and it's something that you feel for him, and you just keep praying for him every day.
I pray for him. I root for him. I love the guy.
And we're looking forward to having him on tomorrow
Can't
to
wait.
talk about positive things. He's back working for the Mets, doing a lot of stuff over at Citi Field, and
that's what I love about Steve Cohen. I think he's going to try to mirror the Yankees when it comes back to taking care of his old players. So that could be a really good thing for New York too. We maybe that's just because I'm getting older and I want to see the guys that I know and I watch play. But
I think it establishes, and again, we did it with the Yankees. Mr. Steinbrenner did it. I think it establishes with young players like myself when I was first coming up that didn't know much about the New York Yankees. I grew up a Cincinnati Reds fan.
Right.
I didn't know much about the Yankees, and it really established seeing these guys around, hearing their stories, understanding what championships that they won back in their day and what it meant for them as a Yankee, to be able to just to hear those stories. And I think, like you mentioned, Steve Cohen, I think he's going to say, hey, I want to bring back my 86 Mets. I want to bring back these guys that that were the last winning combination that we had here. And
when's the last time the Mets won a World Series, Big Joe?
Well, and this is where I will say this: Buck Showalter,
yeah,
in my minor league days,
right,
was the best coach the New York Yankees had in the minor leagues to teach the players what it meant to be a New York Yankee. It wasn't about winning all the time. It was about you are representing
how to carry
brand
yourself. Yep.
That Mr. Steinbrenner expects nothing less than perfection. And he's going to give you better money. He's going to give you better things, but he expects more from you, and he expects you to be shaven. He expects you to wear, in the minor leagues, you had to show an inch of sock. There were certain rules that just weren't expendable. And Buck Showalter was probably one of the best coaches through my 4 years in the minor leagues to teach you what it meant to eventually become a New York Yankee.
You've taken me to I've been blessed in my life to go to a lot of great events and great things with because I was in the baseball world for a minute, and then Jimmy, you took me to a spring training once in Tampa many years ago, and Steinbrenner found out that you were there sitting down there, and he called you up to the suite, and it was like you were his son. He just loved the balls that you had, and he just, you were a Yankee. He said, this is a true Yankee, but it's great. I think, we're going to unfortunately roll in, but I'm excited to talk to my old friend Mark Skeels, who I believe is on the line right now with Mark Fleming. You guys on? Oh, the old.
That doesn't.
Feel like that was an ex-girlfriend. Jeez.
That was not.
That's what you get for kicking me off the line.
Yeah, that was you. Well, just don't tell. We don't want to hear about the geese anymore. Anyway, let us know when you got Mark and Mark back on the air. But yeah, nobody can live forever. But Yankees, man, they got to miss Mr. Steinbrenner. Huh?
Oh yeah.
They're one of a kind. Born on the 4th of July. Right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
amazing. Just amazing. Anyway, it's I'll never forget that moment with you, and I thought that was pretty cool because he knew that you respected his wishes and you carried yourself. And even though you guys got crazy at times off the field, he knew when you walked on that chalk, you were a Yankee and you were gonna deliver.
Yeah.
And you guys delivered, man. It's that cool. So
some great memories there.
Some great memories, you know. So Mark, are you back? Do we have you on? I know, it's from San Diego to Florida, but we should be able to get you on the phone here.
TC, this is Mark Skills.
Skillsy.
I think Mark Fleming may also be on the line. Not sure.
Mark, are you there?
Hey, Jimmy, this is Mark Skills.
Hey, Skills, how we doing, man?
Skillsy, how you doing, buddy? This is Mark Skills, and Mark is one of the top lawyers in San Diego and in the city, and I'm trying to get his counterpart on Mark Fleming with him. But Skillsy, I joke with him because he's the only man I know that had a huge successful career, and I flew out to San Diego and said, will you do me a favor and leave your practice at law in the city government and come be my GM? And Mark, being a former minor league player, be the GM at the Newark Bears. So he's the only one I know moved from San Diego to Newark. Not that I don't love my beloved city. How you been, Skills?
Oh, did we lose him again?
I think we got some gremlins in the line here.
Hey, fellas.
There you go.
This is Mark Fleming. How are you?
Mark, how you doing, buddy? We keep getting cut off. Tommy Setner, Jimmy Larich from The King and the Cop, and I know our mutual friend Mark Skills has been bragging about you, but we wanted to bring you on today because we know you were involved in that case that cost the county $85 million, and I was just going to ask you if you could tell us a little bit about that verdict.
I think there's somebody trying to kill me. There's someone coming to the house to hurt my family. So then they send the deputies, and it goes bad immediately. First thing that happens is the deputies start cornering him in a tight little hallway in the house, and then they tase him after he started to resist being handcuffed. He kept trying to explain to them, look, I'm the one who called you. I'm the one who needs help. And this is happening in his mother's home in Santee, the town in San Diego. Then they tase him again. They start hitting him with batons. And there is a fight where one of the deputies gets hurt. His nose is broken. Backup deputies arrive. They throw him on the ground in the prone position. This is probably going to be familiar to Tommy because I know he's got a law enforcement background. And they then, for the next 10 minutes, keep him on his stomach while they hogtie him. They bind his hands and his feet behind him. They continue to tase him while he's in that position in the hallway. They then take him to the driveway and drop him on his stomach in the hogtie position where he slowly suffocates to death. He then is placed in an ambulance with a deputy by the name of Richard Fisher, who's a notorious guy out here. He's currently serving a 5-year sentence for having sexually assaulted women in his custody. None of this was known at the time. But he then, for the next 10 minutes on the ride to the hospital, puts a spit sock over Lucky's head so the paramedics cannot properly treat him. With all his strength, he pushes down on Lucky's head until the paramedics notice a grinding sound, which was the sound of his teeth as he went into cardiac arrest. And he then went into a coma, and he was disconnected from life support 1 week later.
Yeah, yes, I did do 20 years over Newark, and I've seen it all in the city of Newark, New Jersey. And no good cop supports a bad cop. It's just that simple. And in this case, I always say your best weapon is your mouth. After I got out of the business, I'm not going to make this about me, but we created a de-escalation tool called BolaWrap for these reasons, to have de-escalation tools on your belt. The taser thing drives me crazy. It always drove me crazy. I would never use it. I would never touch it. God bless them. I don't even care about their company, but I never thought it was a proper tool. And my dad came on the job. He was the first bomb expert in 1961 in Newark, New Jersey. And I was part of creating BolaWrap because nothing had changed in 60 years. It was the same batons. It was the blackjacks. It was the hoses. And what people didn't know, sometimes it's a tough job for a cop when somebody's breaking your nose. There's different scenarios. But in this case, if this guy called 911 himself, how hard would it be? You just take your time. And they get in a situation, and now he's gone. And we were just talking about this. Somebody said, and I don't know, Mark, you could correct me. They said they got $85 million to family. I'm sure the family would pay the $85 million back tomorrow if they could have their family member back. So it's.
I heard your comments, and I couldn't agree more. This family, it was never about the money.
Trying to bring some measure of justice by allocating money, to take care of the family members that are left behind. But yeah, I think any civil plaintiff would tell you we just love to be restored to the status quo ante. How it was beforehand, where people were healthy and happy, and you could take care of your loved ones.
Skeelsy, you and I have talked about this, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Mark and Fleming in person, but through the years, you see a lot of tough things, and there's time. It's tough to be a cop. I get it. It's tough to be a cop. I understand that. But situations like this, where I hear the part where his teeth are grinding, and the old saying was, once the cuffs were on, the fight was over. It was over. You don't get to keep abusing somebody, especially somebody that called you and knew they needed help. And I'm sure the family members were screaming and trying to, it's just a very, very sad situation. It's another black eye on law enforcement, even though it was years ago, that we don't need out there. We just don't. Policing needs to be different. We don't need to be defunded. We need to have money reallocated. We need to find more de-escalation tools. And more important, these cops need to get back in their communities and realize the people they're dealing with are not the enemy, and start talking to people. Like in '84, that I was taught by the old timers. You got to talk to people. You got to go to high school with the people. You got to live in the city. You got to play sports with them growing up. Guess what? They won't be the boogeyman when you see him in a black alley then. And that's my 2 cents. And, I'm just sad. I'm sad to see it. And Mark, I'm glad you can shed some light on us, because you hope that somebody's listening, or somebody, Mark Fleming, is going to listen to you eventually. And you should be speaking at police academies. That's what they really should be doing to hear these cases.
I thank you for what you said, and I agree 100%. And what I want to do is I want to eliminate the policy of hog tying, of taking the legs and the arms of people and binding them behind their backs. Hundreds of people have died of positional asphyxiation who didn't need to.
Listen, it's just.
So this is that the webbing, I think, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's called BolaWrap. We can fire it from 15 feet away, and I hate using the word fire, but it does. It looks like a cell phone, and families we're saving lives, and families have thanked us, because all it does it's wraps you up and holds you, and that same aforementioned person that we lost here, Lucky, could have been sat down and just relaxed till the ambulance got there and the proper attention was taken. That's why we did it, because we thought the tools of the past for these cops were just not getting the job done. They just weren't not getting the job done.
Spot on.
So.
And Tommy, I would add that, in addition to police academies and the other groups that Mark Fleming could speak to, I think some of these municipal associations need to have some of the government lawyers sit down and listen to these stories and find out what's going wrong. I mean, I've always liked the quote by Thomas Sowell, who said, it's so easy to be wrong and to persist in being wrong when the costs of being wrong are paid by others.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I think some of the lawyers representing these agencies and departments need to get their head on straight and realize that there are families that are getting hurt out there, and that there are better tools at their disposal.
Mark, you notice my brother's still a leader of a department. I'm gone. My father's passed away. He was a leader of a department. I'm involved in a big way. I'm pro-cop. I sit next to the king, Jimmy Leyritz, who's a New York Yankee legend. pro cop. He does more for foundations and cops. That being said, there's that old mentality of, oh, F it. You know what? The city's got to pay for it. Who cares? Wrong attitude, man. Wrong attitude anymore. These are people's lives, and your job is to protect and serve, and sometimes we lose track of that. To me, I always say protect, serve, and rescue. This gentleman needed to be rescued from himself, and he was trying, and he's gone. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Listen, I'm no cop. I'm pro law enforcement myself. I've got my family in New Jersey, out of Bricktown, all cops on that side. My Uncle Joe is a firefighter. One of my best friends is a sergeant with the NYPD. This is about training and about, teaching cops how to approach those situations. You said time and distance, and that's precisely what they need to learn, and also just the dangers of what happens to the respiratory system if you're bound in a certain way.
That needs to be taught. They need to bring those families into the academy if they're willing to teach these cops that this is not a joke. I mean, and that being said, let's not forget these poor cops that are sitting out there and some clown walks up to them, some villain walks up to them and executes them as they're sitting in their radio car. So everybody's got their guard up. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on both sides. But when you see something like this what bothers me the most, Mark, about this case is that there seem to be 3 or 4 cops there. Nobody stops the other guy. Come on. 12 cops. Give me a break. I mean,
And when he was supposed to be taking care of the scene, the jury wrote in the name of the sergeant as a person who was also negligent, even though he wasn't a defendant in the case.
Well,
I don't have a lot of time, but and then the county spent 7 years vilifying the family and
right.
Why?
Well, rightfully so. My father used to have a saying when I got promoted to sergeant: you could be wrong, you could be right, but damn it, when you get on that scene, you make a decision. That sergeant didn't make a decision. He did nothing. And he should be punished like everybody else. I mean, he shouldn't be back in uniform as far as I'm concerned. It's just make a decision, be a lead. That's why you got promoted, to lead, and stop when wrong is wrong. Stop the nonsense right there. And Mark Fleming, thank you. I hope Skeelsy can hold on for a minute. Mark, thank you. Please don't be a stranger. You got family up here. We're down in Tampa. We got a strong base in New Jersey and New York, and we appreciate you. And we may call you for your expertise when these cases arise.
I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out to Jim.
Yes, sir.
96 Braves. As a lifelong Yankee fan, my grandmother used to work at Yankee Stadium. She lived on the Grand Concourse. So never forget that moment. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. No, that was a great moment. I'm looking forward to this season also. Hopefully they can do it again this year.
I'm gonna let you fellas go. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you letting me talk a
Mark,
little bit about this important case.
Mark, the family, I'm sure is very honored that you represented them, and just by talking to you over the phone, good for you, man. People need to stand up for people. 7 years, you put a lot of work in, I'm sure, on this. So good for you, and we hope to have you on again as an expert when these unfortunate situations arise. Thank you.
Good day. Take care.
All right, Mark.
Skillsy, on a lighter note, how you doing, buddy? You there, Mark?
Just enjoying San Diego. I'm at a great firm, trial attorneys.
We're
back together and just glad.
So the firm that you're at right now, it's very lucky because you're one of the best. You're a humble man, and you're one of the best lawyers in San Diego, and that's for sure. But let me do a little baseball with you. You were a catcher for Stanford. Tell us what Yankee that you had the honor of catching out there. I'm going to hog another minute, and Jimmy, I know wants to jump in, but I have to say two things. Your dad, God rest his soul, was another one we talk about family. He had 3 guys that played in his family in the minor leagues. Your both brothers, David played, you played, and of course the gatekeeper, my dear friend Andy Skeels.
Played with me.
Played with Jimmy, and Andy was, I still think, is the winningest manager over a 5-year period for the San Francisco Giants organization, 3 World Series rings. How did it feel to have 2 brothers playing in the minor leagues? You're playing in the minor leagues. Now, we know you got both. David went on to be a very successful lawyer. You are too. And Andy's still in the baseball world. How did it feel to just be in the backyard, with two brothers that all 3 of you made it? Right. Well, I made you do it for free. I made you. You eventually became the GM of the Newark Bears and moved from San Diego to Newark. You signed 21 Major League players. ESPN used to say we were the 31st Major League Baseball team. Timmy Rock Range you signed as our manager. Jimmy was with us, Mike Torres, Ron Karkovice. And every day you'd walk down the hallway and you'd peek in my office and say, I got so-and-so, and I would laugh. But I wanted Bernie Williams on the team. And you never got it done, Mark. That's the bottom line. We were told that Bernie was coming, and you didn't get it done. I still don't understand.
Well, yeah, I was distracted because Tony Ferrara wanted me to sign Monty Irvin.
Oh, the great Monty Irvin, Newark Eagles. You remember Folky saying to me, I wanted to honor the Newark Eagles, the great Negro League team, so I wanted the team to be the Eagles and the Bears. And Folky would say, who are we tonight, the Eagles or the Bears? And I would say, we're Eagle Bear. Well, a lot of good times, Mark, we had with the Newark Bears.
So, Skeels, you're down in San Diego, and we've been talking Yankees a lot today, but I got to always throw my Padres in there because I had a pretty good run with the Padres. What is it like down there now that they know that Tatis Jr. is going to be out for a while?
Oh, I think that was a gut punch. I think there's a lot of excitement, with the team that they have, explosive offense, and Tatis is really, a generational type player. So I think everyone was shocked when he's going to be sidelined for a while. But you hope you can hang on and be competitive and still be near the top when he gets healthy, because he definitely changes the makeup of that ball club and how they win. So
you listen to the King and the Cop and Jimmy Leyritz, Tommy Setner. We're on with Mark Skeels from San Diego. Mark played in the minor leagues with the Marlins. His brother with the Yankees was Jimmy's roommate, and David, a successful attorney, also played with the Rangers organization. And Mark, I miss you, buddy. I miss having you up here on the East Coast. I was spending a lot of time on the West Coast out there. I'm happy to hear. Tell me with the new firm, the firm you're with now, and the decision from 30 years, 25 years to the prosecution side, what your daily day looks like. We got a couple minutes left.
No, it's great. We handle major personal injury cases. We're based in California, but we do handle cases all over the country. Our founder, John Gomez, has an outstanding reputation that he's built for a firm that tries cases. I mean, a lot of people call themselves litigators, but everyone that's in this office
Well, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you're continuing your career. Do you close your eyes at times and see the days of Stanford, catching Mike Mussina in those days of college like we all do glory days? Do you miss the game?
Oh, I miss it. I definitely miss it. In fact, I was telling someone a quick story about my first at-bat ever as a walk-on in my freshman fall at Stanford was against Mike Mussina. And I hit a triple off the top of the fence, and that's the only thing that kept them from cutting me that first year. So it's crazy how one at-bat can make someone go, wow, all right, well, let's leave this kid around. Maybe he'll develop into something. So, but no, I love it. When I go back home to Thousand Oaks, we live just down the street from where I played Little League, and walk around the field and see young kids playing ball still. It's something I've always loved and will always be in my blood.
Well, I call you my brother from the West Coast. Robin and I miss you. We're going to be out there soon on some business and some pleasure, and, of course, we're going to see you. And congratulations, you're newly married. I'm happy for you, and I know the kids are doing good because we talk offline. So, Skillsy, appreciate you getting Mark Fleming on for us, and more important, it was great to catch up with you. I know Jimmy and I and you talk a lot, and we have a lot in common. So good to hear from you, pal.
Thanks. And Jimmy, congrats on the show. You guys are going to kill it, and look forward to listening.
All right, Skillsy. I'll see you down in San Diego.
Thanks, Skillsy.
Guys.
Jimmy, there's the old saying, one of the nicest men I ever met, and sometimes it's so overrated. This is one of the best guys I've ever met in my life. He's just a gentleman. He's a giver. He's not a taker. Talented man. Stanford, Harvard, ball player, lawyer, prosecutor, and now he's in the private sector. So, I know his dream job is to be a GM in a Major League Baseball team, and, you wish guys like that would get a chance because he was great. He had signed 21 guys from the major. We had Armando Benitez. We had Edgar Alfonso. We had Jimmy Leyritz playing left field and singing happy birthday to my daughter. But, I mean, a great league, the Atlantic League, that gave people a second chance, right? We're all about second chances, and we really enjoyed it. So,
well, and one of the great things this year is we got a team back in what's it called, Staten Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, my good friend Gary Perrone.
I saw that.
Yeah, Gary was with the Brooklyn baseball team with the Mets, and he made the move over to Staten Island, and they will now have a team in the Atlantic League, and he's going to put baseball back on Staten Island.
Yep. We're about a minute away from leaving the show. Robin, you got one last update before we say goodbye to you?
Yeah, we're leaving.
You're losing?
She's had enough. She's leaving.
She's leaving. All right.
Yeah.
We'll call you after the show.
Leaving. Okay, guys.
All right,
It was nice
Rob, we miss
talking to
you.
today. I miss you too. All right. Bye.
Bye.
I can barely hear you.
Yeah. So, again, we want to thank our guests. Sweeney Murdy today was great. And Mark Skeels and Mark Fleming, thank you for talking about an unfortunate situation, but it needs to be talked about and educate people. And tomorrow we're looking forward to our close friend, New York Met legend, Doc Gooden. And Jimmy, on Thursday, one of your buddies, Jeff Nelson, four-time World Series winner, coming on also.
Yes, we're going to have an exciting show coming up the rest of the week. And, again, let's hope tomorrow night, Tommy, when we go to the game, we don't have to watch an hour-long inning every inning.
We'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks for listening to the Big 8 AM 820 WWBA, the King and the Cop.
All right, we're out, guys. Good job. Tommy, I'll email you later. I got an idea for tomorrow.
What's going on, Matt?
I said I got an idea for tomorrow with Doc. I was going to play a clip of the final call of his no-hitter in '96 to lead into his phone call.
That would be great.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll have that pulled and loaded in tomorrow, and then, yeah, we can use that when we go into Doc's interview tomorrow.
All right, good. And I'll give you a call a half hour before the show tomorrow again.
Have we sent Doc the call-in number?
Yeah, we'll